Zoom recording now. Let me share. Okay.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to week 8. And again, every week we're clicking it down. And this week we don't have a lot to say, but we do have a full agenda because we have 5 groups that are going to present tonight. So just very quickly,
Not five
we've
groups,
got
Dr. Revis. Two
yes.
groups. Only two groups.
Oh, okay. Sorry, only 2 groups. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I was reading
Yeah.
down. I got
Yeah.
ahead of myself.
That's okay.
But we got a few housekeeping things. First of all, let's scroll down and remind you. Dr. Stone asked me to reach out to you, and I did. Several of you, about 8 of you, that you had not sent him anything for this PowerPoint presentation. We always do the last night of class, and we want everyone to be able to be included.
Let
So
me
don't
say,
forget to do that. And then we finally have the date and time and a Zoom link for your final town hall meeting, which is July the
yes, ma'am.
21st at
Okay.
7.
Okay.
Hold on,
Everybody mute yourselves, please.
Okay.
And Dr. Revis, I sent this same information out to my students. There were several that had not responded. I got some confirmation that some were done, but if you need to, and please don't slack up there. We're going to be sending messages out up until the very end. So it's important that you check your messages, you check your email every day. And Dr. Revis, if if we send an email, it's pretty urgent, and 3 days later, we really shouldn't be waiting for a response back from anybody. Am I right?
That is correct. And of course, you can send it to our email, our Garden Web email. You can do a message within Blackboard, and it will notify us through our email that we have a message. So, please look at your emails on a daily basis, if not a couple times a day.
And
Any
and this is
questions on those 2 things?
and Dr. Revis, this is located. I don't know if you've had a chance to get it in your shell yet, but
I
this is in
did.
several places in our course shell, and it's also on your calendar,
I
for
did.
that date
Mhm.
as a reminder. But Dr. Revis, I did want to say, as we're looking up here, um, I was pleased with assignment 7. The case studies, you know, for the most part were good. I will say that for just a few, if you were having to do this as a job interview for an assistant principalship, or if you were in South Carolina doing it for the praxis, you may run into some problems if you don't become a little more detailed and supportive in your responses. So I would encourage you to make sure that you don't cut corners with these case study assignments. And when you do go through the interview process, and this very likely could be, they could give you a scenario and just to see how you respond to it. Please make sure that you give it the best shot that you can give it.
And
Uh,
to talk a little deeper about this particular case study, guys, in real life, when you get a job as a principal leading your school, when you have a personnel issue like this, don't feel like it's a weakness if you reach out to your central office folks. Most superintendents will direct you to let HR person work with you on this. And don't think it's a sign of weakness to reach out. And trust me, I've worked at the central office. I would
Me
much
too.
rather someone reach out to me. Let's talk through your steps, before before rather than after. I know many of you said that you would continue your investigation by talking to parents and talking to other staff members. And I just encourage you in real life, don't do that. Pick up the phone and either call your superintendent if you're in a small district, superintendent. Larger districts will sometimes send you to their chief HR director or officer, whatever they're called. But you need to walk hand in hand with them through any type of personnel issue and let them do the investigation or let them guide you through any further investigation that you have to do. What about from your perspective, Dr. Stedman?
Dr. Rivers, I was going to say the same thing. As I was reading through, I know, you know, you always want to, your heart wants to tell you do one thing. You've got to be very careful. You cannot join alliances here. You cannot give advice here. You only do from once you do the central office, it's pretty much out of your hands except what they ask you to do. So you don't you know the biggest thing is you follow the process and then you back off until you're told what to do. And you may not be told anything else to do. It may be out of your hands, but you really cannot advise somebody other than, they always have a right, their due process, they can go to human resources themselves, ahead of time. But that's not for you to really, you're not to help make that happen. Am I right, Dr. Revis?
That's right. And again, don't feel like it's a sign of weakness.
No,
Now, if you have this on the praxis, you state your school law.
right.
But in the real life working scenario, always, always, even if you're a veteran principal of 12 years, make that phone call to your HR or superintendent, notify them what has happened, what proof you have. You can share with him or her what you would like to recommend happen, but you work with them and they will guide and direct you, if not tell you to get out of it. Sometimes school districts, because you know, HR is really tricky and they want to make sure that they do everything lockstep with the attorney. I don't know. A couple of you said you would call the attorney. In our school district, principals do not call the attorney. That's only the superintendent. So, you just have to know in your school district, but don't be afraid to ask questions.
And Dr.
Okay?
Revis, I'm glad you mentioned that because I had written it down to talk about that. First of all, if any time the attorney's called, time he picks up that phone, he's on the payroll. So
Mhm.
when you call, you're calling and putting him on payroll without permission. So that's not your job. And Dr. Revis, I did it one time when
Mhm.
I was an assistant superintendent. And I called the attorney about something. Well, he charged the school with the superintendent. I mean, he just talked with me about it. He said, just make sure that I know that you're doing this. I didn't know. I thought that I had that right then. So, I learned my lesson then that even at that level, I was going to get permission, you know, because the attorney charged for my phone call.
Right. And they look at those bills very closely,
Right.
they
Mhm.
being your finance department. So, it's just not about that. It's about don't be afraid. Don't think it's a sign of weakness.
Right.
You ask questions when you first start, and even as things change and you're in the position for a long time, you may have a situation you've never dealt with before, and you pick up that phone and you make a call. Trust me, your central office would much rather you call them than not.
Exactly. And with the final SIOP, Dr. Revis, just a reminder, task 1 through 6 everything must be, at this point, 1 through 6 should be completed. And if it's not, then you've got to take it through the process with either Dr. Bullis or Dr. Maraglia. So you need to get that to them, and everybody should be at the place where they should be able to do that without any problem, Dr. Revis. Because by tomorrow evening, it should be cleared so that Dr. Revis and I can look at task 1 through 6 combined and either give you advice as to anything that you might need to adjust, or, we will say submit to the Turnitin process. So, any
And
questions?
as you're
Go ahead.
and as you're getting that final one ready for us to review again, just take a moment and go through, make sure you've taken off all your highlighting. There is no red text, that you don't have extra spaces. Everything's double spaced, except for the prompts, directions, and the prompts. And make sure just visually it looks good, and that that's the way you want us to see it for your final grade, that that's the way you want the evaluators to see it, because after I look at it, I'll tell you to run it through Turnitin, and after that, you don't change it unless you have a problem with Turnitin. But then we're ready to get on to the evaluators. So I'm excited. I think I have all but one person finished 1 through 6. Now, not all of you have turned that combined task in, but don't sit on it. Let's get it on in there, okay?
And Dr. Revis, I still need 3 of the final 1 through 6 by tomorrow. And then I will say that congratulations to my class. 14 out of 18 have cleared task. I mean, the SIAP already with a 4.
Oh,
So,
wow, that's great.
so, so I'm waiting on the last 4.
Well, that's great. Okay, come on, my class now.
Okay.
Let's get these in.
Okay. Any questions about the SIAP from anybody before we move on? Okay, Dr. Revis, just if you would give a reminder about next week, or the assignment
Okay.
for this week.
All right. This week you're going to work on the strength-based finder. And I know some of you've turned that in. Make sure that everything is all in one submission. You've got several pieces. If you're missing a piece, we have to send it back. So you've got to put your responses to those questions. And I've gotten this question several times. Do we write it out? Do we put the question number and write a response? Yes. And those should be some very thorough responses. And then, of course, you will do your strength-based assessment. You will send the results. You have to send the results to us and let us view those. That should be in your submission. Then you write your reflection on that. And then you have the Zoom video that you and your teammate will work with and complete. All that has to be together in one submission.
Any
Any questions?
questions? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, any questions?
I was too. Everybody good?
Am I good? Okay.
Okay, and so for tonight, we begin our digital competency presentations. Digital competency 1 is going to be Tony Smith and Colleen Graham from my class, and digital competency 2 will be Audrey Stevens and Joseph Weaver from my class. And then next week, we will have 3 presentations, digital competencies 3, 4, and 5. And you see in red those teams. Are there any questions from Dr. Revis's groups next week of Dr. Revis or me about next week? Everybody understands?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and Dr. Revis, I want to let me do one more thing before we turn it over to them. This is just a reminder for your coaches. Just remember these deadline dates right here when your competency analysis, your competency folio, your school of ed dispositions, your internship logs, and there is an exit survey that you have to do as well. So any additional task stream requirements, all of that is due no later than the 21st. A lot of people have already started clearing those things out, though, Dr. Revis. I've been paying attention to that. So, but don't wait until the day before or the day of, and then run into problems. You need to make sure that you're working with your coach to make sure that these are cleared out in a timely manner. So are there any questions of us at this time about these requirements with your coach?
And just a reminder to my class, tomorrow night is your deadline to turn in 1 through 6 for me to review. I will shoot it back to you pretty quickly. Then by July the 13th, which is Sunday evening, you've got to have it through the turning in process and to task-stream.
Right.
So be sure you allow yourself time to get through that process.
Okay. Tony and Colleen, it belongs to you now.
All right. And share this. And away we go. Awesome. Colleen, are you ready?
Oh.
Oh, there you go.
Minus my dogs with their squeaky toys and barking. So, all right. So we're going to talk about vision and strategy for digital learning environments. So to begin, digital competency 1, vision and strategy for digital learning environment is a foundational. It asks school leaders to not only imagine what effective digital learning could look like, but to develop a clear and sustainable strategy for making that vision a reality. So there's 4 key elements included in this competency. Create and communicate a vision within the school improvement plan. That means that digital learning should be embedded in our core school goals. Cultivate and articulate the vision. Leaders have to actively share and then reinforce that vision with staff, students, and families. Create an equitable and sustainable plan. That's the hard one, making it sustainable. Making sure all students have consistent access to tools, resources, opportunities, and then focus on personalized learning supported by digital learning. So emphasizing the importance of meeting students where they are and allowing technology to support their unique needs and goals. So whether we're working in a K-5 environment like my school, Meadow Lane, or a 612 model like Tony's school, Wayne School of Technical Arts, this competency pushes us to think about how leadership, planning, access, and instructional purpose all come together to shape a digital learning culture. So it's not just about using technology, it's about creating systems and expectations that allow those digital tools to support deep learning, equity, and student success.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. There's because this is something, well, we've all lived, especially Colleen and I, we've lived this for a long time. Colleen's a former media coordinator, and I've been doing this for about 20 years at this point. So yeah, all of these are definitely huge points, especially that sustainability plan, because as we know, technology is expensive and you have to fund it somehow. And a lot of people don't think about it until the bill is due. But what this competency measures is it measures like the ability of a district leadership, school leadership, to create and implement that shared vision for digital learning. And that is extremely important because you have to get multiple departments on board. Over my 25-year career, technology was often thought as just something on the side. It's just a computer. It's just something that works. but it actually takes all departments to come together and work together. So technology needs to work with curriculum and instruction. Technology needs to work with facilities, because there's lots of moving parts. Technology touches everything we do in the schools at this point. There's no way to get away from it. It's just not siloed over on the side. So one of the others is having alignment of those digital learning practices, best practices with your school improvement goals, because it needs to be in the school improvement plan. It is part of school improvement. It's part of all education at this point. And it is a higher priority. Also, equitable access, and equitable access is a big one because people don't think about that digital divide. Now, COVID experienced that, or we experienced that during COVID, and I'm sorry if I'm breaking up, I'm here at work. So like during COVID, it really did show us that divide between who has internet and who does not have internet. And we really had to turn around and sit back and think like, okay, what areas of our county are, do they have internet? Can they even utilize these digital resources? Even if we send them home with a Chromebook, can they get on the internet? So it really kind of exposed the haves and have-nots. And then also using those digital tools, which we've had a lot come out. We've had them around for well over a decade, but as they evolve, we are delivering our instruction through those tools like learning management systems, Google Classroom, and other types of platforms that actually not only deliver instruction, but allow us to receive data and make a data-driven decision on top of that. Something else is it actually sets that tone and direction for both the school and the district for that innovation and progress, because if you don't include technology, you cannot move forward with education. That's going to be an important component, and as important as it's been in the past decade, now it is actually going to be more important for the next decade. Having equity so all students can access meaningful digital learning. Again, we just talked about that equity, but also making sure that all students not only can physically access something, but actually have the ability to understand. When you're talking about equity, we're also talking about, if you have a student who is blind, does this work with a screen reader, things like that. So equity is not just access, it's actually like, can they utilize the website? Can people click around on it? And then another thing is that vision and strategy matters with building a learning culture where the digital learning supports the instructional goals, because again, it's not siloed on the side. They need to mesh, they need to work together. And then that way, teachers, students, district administrators use all that data and technology to then target and meet individual needs. So if you do have like a digital learning platform, you can see which students are excelling, which students are falling behind, and then you can analyze the data to see like what needs to be targeted or who needs to be targeted at that point.
All right, so we're going to talk about Meadow Lane Elementary School first. At Meadow Lane, our digital learning vision is directly embedded into our school improvement plan, which includes goals for literacy, math, and social emotional learning, and they're all supported through technology integration. Teachers regularly in the elementary schools use Google Classroom to post assignments, announcements, interactive activities. One key strategy that we use is promoting student voice and choice through choice boards, which the teachers create through Google Slides or Docs. These allow the kids to pick from multiple formats. They can use a drawing with Google Drawing. They can write, they can record videos, they can design projects, whatever they want to demonstrate their learning. We've also integrated tools like Canva for Education and Adobe Express, which students use to visually create engaging presentations and products. For reflective learning sharing, some teachers use Google Screencast that's built right into the Chromebooks, or they use Loom to allow students to screencast and record their responses, their reflections, or presentations. And then data plays a big role as well. Teachers are using iReady and STAR assessment data, their M-class data, their NC check-ins, depending on which grade level that they're in. And they use that to target their small groups and personalize instruction. You know, you've got a tutor that's coming, so you're going to give them these kids that are missing this skill. You've got an assistant that's coming in, you're going to give her those kids because they're missing a certain skill. So they can work on things that way and ensuring technology is meeting the students where they are. Three major strengths at Meadow Lane Elementary. First, our school improvement plan clearly outlines goals that are tied to digital integration, particularly as it relates to differentiation and student support. Digital learning isn't treated as an add-on, it's part of the actual instructional vision. Second, we've got strong administrative support for digital learning. Our leadership team encourages technology use in their walkthroughs and professional learning communities and participates right along with the teachers in any tech-based PD. They feel like they can't support the teachers in it if they don't know how to do it themselves. So they are always participating in that. And third, our school has a strong culture of professional development. The teachers are consistently engaging with tools like Canva, Adobe Express, the Google Workspace apps. We've done Book Creator. So we offer frequent PD sessions. We model lessons. There's peer sharing opportunities where they can go in and see what another teacher is doing in their classroom. And all these kinds of things help to build staff confidence in trying new tools. Growth areas. While we have made strong progress, we've identified 3 key opportunities for growth. So the first is equity in digital access. While students do have access to Chromebooks at school, not all students have consistent Wi-Fi or device access at home. A lot of our kids live way out in the country where even if you can get the satellite, it's not any good. So Wi-Fi is a big issue. So we have been exploring like take-home hotspots and things like that, like we used during COVID, and creating more offline compatible digital activities for the kids. The second area is device sustainability. Some of our student devices are aging, which could hinder progress if it's not addressed. We do have a replacement cycle in the district to replace their Chromebooks, but there's like the CDSP population out there uses iPads and things like that that aren't on that refresh cycle. So we're looking into grants and other district support to help fund some of those kinds of devices. Also things like document cameras and that bright links and things like that as they go out and need to be replaced. The third opportunity is increasing student digital leadership. While our students are great at using tools, we want to empower them more intentionally. So we're considering making like a little student tech team or digital ambassadors group next year that would allow more students to get involved in tech integration decisions and peer support. We have those in several of our high schools already, and they're a big hit. And the lower grades are all wanting to start doing things like that with their kids too. So these next steps will help us build on our momentum and continue to create meaningful, future-ready digital learning environments. All right, our overall rating. I gave Meadow Lane an overall rating of 4 out of 5 stars on this competency. The school has made strong strides in developing and acting on a vision for digital learning. That vision is not only reflected in the school improvement plan, but it's also visible in daily classroom instruction. Our teachers are using data tools like our iReady, STAR assessments, their M-class data to build their small group instruction and personalize their learning experiences. They've incorporated digital creation tools like Canva and Adobe Express, and they're allowing students to express themselves in creative ways. Professional development is another strength. Our staff actively participates in tech-focused sessions, and leadership promotes innovation through modeling and encouraging during walkthroughs. Some examples of artifacts that support our rating include school improvement documentation that shows those tech integration goals, professional development agendas and participation records, classroom photos or student work samples from like Canva or things that they've done with their choice boards, digital learning walkthrough forms, informational feedback from teachers reflecting increased comfort and creativity using digital tools. And while there's always room to grow, the systems and culture in place at Meadow Lane show that we are well aligned with the vision outlined in Digital Competency 1. So, in closing, I want to highlight that Meadow Lane has worked hard to align its digital learning practices with a shared vision that puts students first. By integrating digital tools into our instructional planning, professional development, and student engagement strategies, we've been able to foster a more personalized, student-centered environment. Our focus on teacher support and student voice ensures that technology is used not just for the sake of using it, but to enhance learning outcomes. We recognize our areas for growth, particularly around access, device sustainability, creating more opportunities for student leadership, and we're already taking steps to address those needs. And Digital Competency 1 reminds us that vision is only the beginning. It's the intentional planning, collaboration, and follow through that make the real difference. And Meadow Lane is committed to continuing on that journey.
Okay, so now we move to my school, which is the Wayne School of Technical Arts. And a little bit of background on that is it is the newest school in Wayne County Public Schools. It is a joint venture between Wayne County Public Schools and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. So there's only a few schools like this nationwide. I mean, you have DoD schools, but this is not a DoD school. This is a school on an Air Force, like on a base, but is run by a local Board of Education. So it is very unique. It just finished up its third year. And it did, basically it's kind of gone through a transition period where we had, the school was created, set up, and then we had a administrator transition this past year. And they were able to bring in a phenomenal administrator that we had at our early middle college. And she has really elevated the school quite a bit and got a lot of digital things implemented and set things in the right direction. So for the first part, for our digital learning vision at our school, it is directly addressed in our school improvement plan. And we worked this year, and really it was a lot of the principal's effort, but I worked with her through this to kind of do those data-informed decisions and try to work to set up platforms and things where the teachers could gather more data to use to drive those decisions and make sure that we had equitable access. In the schools, as with pretty much all the schools in Wayne County, we definitely use data walls. That's actually a mandate by the superintendent to have that up in every classroom across the entire district. But we use data walls, and we definitely really hammer that performance data. And I've seen a huge increase in that in the past decade as we start using more of those digital tools. So we're talking about check-ins, the benchmarks, SchoolNet. We really try to rely on things that are provided by the state so we don't have to pay for them because we don't have the budget to pay for all of it. And even those standardized tests to kind of guide that kind of planning. For the school that I'm at, it is a 612 school. So it's a combined middle and high school. And they are trained in PBL, so they support that student-centered digital learning. The school, like every school, receives Chromebooks. Since that school started, it was kind of like every year for the past 3 years, they added 2 grades. So we would have to augment that school with Chromebooks. And as Colleen said, we do have a sustainability plan for the district that we worked on. And in fact, I'm gearing up for the next RFP for Chromebooks because we have about 17,500 students, and we set a 5-year refresh plan to purchase 3,500 Chromebooks per year for 5 years. That way, all schools are insured a new piece of technology. But it is very expensive. I think our last quote when I did the RFP was 1.2 million. So we basically have to allocate 1.2 million per year for 5 years. And then that's where my job comes in of trying to find funding out of my budget and other budgets and try to do that combined funding. The high school teachers, which now that they're fully staffed, they do the AP Summer Institutes. The school's working toward doing AP Capstone. And then they also embed all those digital strategies into instruction. And when the school come up, we had a lot of teachers move from one place to the next. So we do have a strong digital presence and digital leaders in the school who utilize technology in there. And this year actually helped assist with CNI, help get them Promethean panels and things like that to really outfit the school with new technology. And then the whole entire school, we use the platforms like Infinite Campus, which all of you in North Carolina will now be familiar with. We were phase 1 of the new student information system, but now everybody is on the new student information system because Power School ended 2 weeks ago. So we are using our platforms like Infinite Campus for communication with families because that's built in. Some teachers on the side will use Remind and Class Dojo, but one of the things I'm working with the administrator is trying to leverage the platform that we are getting from the state that already has communication built in to use that as like a single platform so everything's in one app. So the major strengths that we have at WISTA is that they have built now a clear mission and vision statement that kind of includes technology in that. And the school worked together this year to kind of get that updated and make sure that it was more streamlined and coherent, I would say. I wouldn't say the old one wasn't, but I think this one kind of streamlined a little bit and made sure that it kind of integrated some technology in it. Again, we've mentioned that data for decision making because the easiest way to do anything is to run those benchmark tests or to run something like iExcel. And then basically you're getting back this data that helps you really fine tune and target your instruction. And then trying to do that grade band specific PD as this school really is covering multiple grade bands, middle and high school especially. So for some of the growth areas and the plans that we have for improvement, because again, it was under one administrator for 2 years. We've had a new administrator come in. So it's really setting the plans and setting the tone for the future. And we do have some issues too, which one was limited access to the district PD because they have a different schedule. They actually start school at 10:10 in the morning and they finish at about 4:45 in the afternoon. And that doesn't really coincide with the rest of the district as people are getting out of school at 2:30, 3 o'clock, 3:30. So it does have difficulties. And that's where one of the plans for improvement in some of the areas, especially with technology assistance and technology integration, is trying to meet them where they are or really kind of have some one-off things where we come to them and work with them. So we're going to kind of advocate, and we have advocated for flexible PD for that site so we can kind of work with things. One of the areas we have that we're trying to work on improving is we have a lack of consistent focus, but I really think that was from the previous administration. And again, that's been addressed and we've worked on that this year. And so we have that area where we've already surveyed the staff, aligned the PD goals. We've identified the technology we need to get things going and have already started implementing that already. The school also suffered for the first couple of years in inconsistent support services with some side contractors. And I think that they're kind of working on that. There could be some technology things that could be implemented there. I know we're still kind of working on that, but we would have to reevaluate those partnerships, especially as mental health, because there is now digital learning and digital mental health things available. I know Gaggle actually has a whole mental health thing available for district. So those are some different things that have been looked at there. So kind of looking at this again, because because I've seen the school not just as a district administrator, I see it as a parent. And I also definitely want to help the school and get them where they need to be. So I'm kind of involved in multiple ways. But I would, right now, I'd have to rate it as at a 3. I would almost say like a 3.5, because they're growing and they're getting much better. But they do have a strong foundation with their vision, the PBL, and the data use, so that they have that strength going for them. They do have that alignment with goals, and technology is a big component of Dr. Allen's goal. I know when she come in and we first talked, as I was going through my internship with her, it was about working on getting the staff to utilize digital tools more. And as we know, even in y'all school districts, some of your schools utilize your Google Docs or your Microsoft tools digitally better than others. Again, we have that consistent use of the data walls that is mandated, and those benchmarks that we offer throughout the year for students. We have that great specific PD that's going on, and that PD includes digital learning, digital technology. We've had the ETSs go out in the past and get that going. And then we're still trying to develop that professional development coherence, though, to make sure everything aligns properly. But for the most part, everybody still has sustainable access. My department, the technology support side, we actually just upgraded all the wireless access points in the school. So any connectivity problems have disappeared in the past month. So I consider that a win. I have a great department that has handled all that. And then from there, then we can get our digital plan fully implemented, and I fully expect that to happen next year, as we have seen a lot of growth in this past year. And so on the side is basically what we plan on making sure that is going to occur, or making sure it continues. School improvement plan with the digital goals, make sure we document the data walls. We can take pictures of that, and we have evidence of that. Make sure that we have good training agendas that align with digital competencies. Definitely parent communications, probably a big thing across the board. This is just my thing as a working at the district and as a parent, is it's easier when parents have one platform to manage everything through. And that's what I have liked about the new student information system, Infinite Campus, because everything is included. So I only have to open up one app to see grades, communications, communicate with the teachers, everything's there, and everything's getting put in. So you phase 2 districts that are going to start using it, you'll get the benefit of what we went through in phase 1 to get it working. And then one of the things that Dr. Allen started it was called Aviate, or for aviators, but AVI8, so Aviate. And that is her student of the month. And she has lots of things going around that. Not just digitally, but I mean, because one of them I did was I went and got lunch for all the students of the month, and we had a big celebration. So the students of the month get a lunch. And then, usually a parent or somebody will pay for it, but that's a kind of a side thing to digital learning. So moving forward with our strategy, as I've said before, we're building that digital foundation. We've improved greatly this year. We're putting things in place to make sure that they have access to the tools they need, and that everybody can utilize something, because that's another thing. You don't want to just roll out technology and it's only accessible to 1 or 2 grades. It needs to be rolled out to everyone at once. So there's great vision and leadership there, like leading that surge, especially even as she implemented the new Promethean panels and took some of our recommendations that we've been trying to get that school pointed in that direction for a couple of years. So again, equity is always going to remain a focus area, because you've always got to be mindful of equity. And then consistency with technology and consistency with platforms is a big one, and not pulling things in and out fast, because there's a capital and a time cost to learn things as you're implementing things. But then making sure that personalized learning is there as they utilize a learning management system. Infinite Campus has a learning management system built into it already. So instead, for this past year, we didn't have to spend $60,000 on Canvas. We were able to utilize what was already there to do that. So it was kind of like it gave us equity all over the place. But by having that there, all the stuff was in one app for the parent, so a parent could see what the student's doing. So they could see, you know, the student turned it in late. It was all right there. They could see attendance data, but still they could use that platform to then implement personalized learning for each student and tailor that learning toward their actual needs. And then once with the sustainable access that we have been working toward, which we have now, and the structured professional development that we are offering, we will be able to fully realize the digital vision that Dr. Allen would like, because again, this is a school full of technology, and we want to make sure that it is pointed in that direction and has all sorts of technological things going on. Like right now, we offer Minecraft coding, we offer Adobe digital design. I'm trying to think, we're about to start to offer a new class next year. I think we're going to be offering cybersecurity classes, or we're going to try to offer that. I think the goal is eventually, and that's something we're working with CNI, the goal is eventually to get it to where students can actually receive credentials at the school. So they can actually go through, take these courses and go ahead and receive a CompTIA credential or a cybersecurity, security plus credential before even leaving the high school. Which this school is also a school where students not only attend high school, but they're also taking college classes at the same time. So they're dual enrolled. So when a student graduates from this school, they potentially will have a high school diploma plus a 2-year college degree and be ready to transfer right on into a 4-year university. And so by implementing digital tools and digital learning, we can help accelerate that and support that as we get those students to jump forward and move forward. I mean, it's amazing to think that you can technically have a 20-year-old graduate now with a 4-year degree. It's kind of amazing because I handle staff on the back end sometimes, and I'll look at a birth date and I'll see a new teacher come in and realize like that teacher is only 20 years old. They were just a student 2 years ago, and you realize like, oh, they graduated early. They went through one of these programs like this. So basically it's about equipping those students for tomorrow by giving them better tools today.
All right, so a vision is only as strong as the action behind it. Both of our schools share a commitment to equity, sustainability, and innovation, and both recognize that meaningful progress takes planning, reflection, and collaboration. This standard reminds us that technology doesn't drive learning on its own. It's the leadership vision, the systems that we're building, and the intentional use of tools that are truly transforming the learning experiences for our students. So our schools are at different stages, but both are moving forward with purpose.
And to end with mine, I mean, and this is not really just a Wayne School of Technical Arts, because I treat every school the same. I try to be fair to every school. So I also look at things not just as at my school, but at everybody. But essentially not, Wayne School of Technical Arts and all of our schools are building that momentum with those data-driven strategies. And we got visionary leaders making sure that that stuff's getting implemented, and making sure that we have equity across the board. And again, I talk about that sustainability plan because sustainability is a big thing. It takes a lot of funding and a lot of human capital and a lot of time to work with these digital tools. And that's something that, well, Colleen, I, and Heidi have dealt with for the past decade, because you can't just go buy something and throw it on people. There's got to be training. There's got to be time involved, and people have to have time to be able to utilize it and learn it. Just like with the implementation of Infinite Campus in our district this year, was trying to make sure people could do that. And then making sure that our growth comes from the strong leadership we have, and also because technology is involved. Again, I'm gonna reiterate, technology is involved in every part of strategic planning. And that strategic planning we get from DPI, and we have the digital learning progress rubric, which we just completed for our district 3 weeks ago, I think. But again, that strategic plan is not just technology and instructional technology. It is every department. It's every department being involved in understanding what their role is and how they work within that, work in that system. And then making sure that all stakeholders have a voice, because we're not just serving students and not just serving teachers, and we want to make sure we got good customer service there, but we're also serving parents as well. And there's a big digital divide with parents. I see a big digital literacy problem. Parents trying to utilize platforms and things because this new student information system has an entire digital platform component that parents can access and fill out forms and do things like that. But, one of the things we run into is parents might not be able to even comprehend what to click on, how to do it, deal with two-factor authentication. So there's like little details that I deal with on a day-to-day basis with that. But again, it's about all stakeholders, parents, students, teachers, administrators, all across the board. And to finish it out with this quote, you can't just have the vision's not enough. It's got to be combined with venture. You can't stare up the steps. You've got to step up the stairs. And that's what digital learning will do, and actually has done for the past decade to 2 decades that I've been in it. But it's slow going as people realize that, hey, I've got to just move up the stairs. I can't just do the same thing every year because technology evolves. Think of the changes 20 years ago. There was this new thing called YouTube coming out. Some guy created something called Facebook. Nobody knew what it was. Now it kind of runs our stuff. It's the same in education. There's platforms that we see developed over 20 years. I've seen Google grow over the past 15 years as the Google administrator. So things change and you have to keep up with the change and you have to keep stepping up the stairs. And that is the end of our presentation.
Wow, that was a lot in a short period of time, but both of you did a phenomenal job. Dr. Revis, I promise, I had no idea they worked together when these assignments were made. I had no idea that they were in technology. So that, it kind of worked out well, for them, but great job. It's a reminder too that, not just a few years ago, we were having to deal with a lot of what they talked about in their presentation during COVID. We should not get complacent to the point that we think that we won't ever have to do this again. So we need to keep, you think about, what's happened in Texas and what's happened in other places. It could come back. We pray it doesn't, but we never know. So we must always be prepared. Again, great job, guys. Good way to start this competency off. Turn it over to.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to what you just said about like with floods and stuff. That's actually something we're working with statewide with other tech directors with that, basically what we call a disaster recovery plan, because we just saw what happened in the mountains. We had the stuff that happened in the mountains in the fall. We had the stuff happen down in New Hanover where they had some of their schools get flooded back in September last year. We just had what happened, through Chapel Hill and everything else. So that's actually something that is part of our purview, is trying to make sure we have a disaster recovery plan, because you don't know when the next pandemic is going to happen. You don't know when a disaster is going to happen.
Right.
You don't know when a tornado is going to hit. So
Right.
That's something we run through quite a bit.
And you guys have the Neuse River that has been known to flood.
We have been through it. We have been through it 4 times.
Yes.
Past 30 years.
I'm aware of that. Yeah. Okay. Good job, guys. Turn it over to the next group now.
Can you see that? Yeah. All right. Tony and Colleen, I'm glad you guys kicked us off, because that was a great presentation and a wealth of knowledge on the digital side of things. We're going to move into the content standard 2, which is content and instruction. Michelle Stevens and myself.
All right, so starting off, we look at what is the digital competency standard number 2. Again, it deals with content and instruction, and specifically, since this is a standard for school administrators, it's modeling and monitoring digital citizenship, promoting communication and collaboration with stakeholders, providing access to professional development and instructional materials, establishing systems to analyze data, and establishing systems for vetting and acquiring digital content.
So what does the standard measure? A principal's ability to lead, model, and support effective digital teaching and learning. So a few bullets underneath that: instructional leadership in digital teaching. The role of the principal as a lead learner at the school, and it's their job to model strong instructional practices and integrate digital tools and methods into what they do as presentations to staff or parents or students. The second one, model and promoting digital citizenship. How well this measures how well the principal promotes responsible technology use and supports policies ensuring ethical, collaborative, and digital communication. So following the board policies. The third, the support for teacher growth, efforts to expand professional development opportunities, providing access to digital resources and tools for the staff. As Tony mentioned earlier, it changes daily. Something's new developing right now that we may use at the beginning of this school year. So being on top of that and providing that information to the teachers. The next one, data-informed decision-making, using systems, so your EVOS, your MClass, all those to collect, analyze, and share the data that drives that instructional teaching in the classrooms. And then your last one, your digital content management. So leading the process through selecting and creating, implementing all those digital tools or programs across the board throughout the school. Why is it important? It improves, of course, instructional quality. So principals lead by example and support effective digital instruction. It raises the bar for the rest of the teachers and the staff, which hopefully in return improves student outcomes and achievement at that school. Builds a safe and responsible school culture. That digital citizenship piece helps students and staff using the technology ethically and responsibly. In today's world, we all know that's very important as far as all the social media trends and everything that kids are getting into. So making sure that they're using it in school and out of school correctly and responsibly. Drive continuous improvement. So that same thing, providing that professional development and using those data systems to make informed decisions, and then ensuring the quality of the digital tools and content, selecting them and making sure that they're effective. And if they're not, then moving on to the next one that is. So my school, which is Balls Creek, the one I'm using, I taught here for 13 years as a physical education teacher, and then I since moved on to the teacher of students with visual impairments for the district. So Tony, I appreciate your comment earlier about the equity of the technology for all students, because in the role I am in, the students that I have, it is very challenging to get their pieces of technology that they use, their assistive technology devices, to talk with school programs or even within the buildings, depending on how the Wi-Fi settings are set. So I appreciate that when you bringing that up. We have close to 700 students at this school. It is a pre-K through 6 in Catawba County. And there's about 70, 80 staff members, 57 of those or so, 57 or 60 of those are certified teachers or licensed teachers. What does the standard 2 look like at Balls Creek? Your communication and collaboration tools, Parent Square, it's run similar like Facebook, but it's all internal communication device that's this whole school system uses for internal and external communication for staff members and the school district and with the parents. Infinite Campus, which both Tony and Colleen mentioned earlier. Google, we are in the elementary level using Google. I know middle school and high school in our district using Canvas, but Google is our main learning management system at the elementary level. And then some teachers use Canva for other communication, newsletters and such like that. The digital citizenship, all of our students in Catawba County have one-on-one Chromebooks through the K64 initiative, which is a partnership with the county. Balls Creek is lucky they have a technology teacher, computer teacher. She does all the digital citizenship lessons on the whole curriculum, so none of the teachers, the classroom teachers, even touch it. They do integrate pieces of it throughout their core lessons, but the technology teacher, like they go to PE, art, and music, she goes through all those programs listed there. Professional development and resources. The AI, of course, that is the biggest thing that was pushed out earlier this year. The county got a grant. Can't remember right now where through, but it was an optional AI courses that the teachers could do through the end of June, and then they are kicking off a course this summer that teachers could do as well and administrators could do for integrating AI. We do have a PD landing page where like a Google site for teachers go through that have all digital resources and webinars and such that they can do. Our CCS Engage, which is an internal web page that has all of our school apps that the teachers use. We all sign into it every day, and that's where we pull all of our apps from. And there's training tools and resources in there. And then your NC Ed Cloud, which is the state database. NESIS, I think I got an email yesterday. They were updating their interface and having a bunch of resources and professional development on there listed as well. So, and then the data analysis at the school, your MTSS group, they look through that EVAS data, MClass, your check-ins, your EOGs, a bridges intervention, which is math for our K1 or K2 students, and then Edmentum. That Edmentum replaced this year iReady. I think it's K8. I'm not sure if it's a high school. I know it's K8, but it's an online math and reading program, which replaced the previous program that the county was using, which was iReady. The strengths for Balls Creek, communication, internal and external communication. Our computer teacher runs all of the parent square communication with as far as this whole school, and then teachers use it for their particular classrooms or communicating with different teachers or at different schools. Feedback through surveys are sent out, so the communication there, and then our the principal there sends out weekly notes and uses Google Classroom and all those tools to communicate with the staff and the parents and students. The second one is the digital citizenship, because that computer teacher does integrate do all the lessons for digital citizenship. I felt that was a strong piece for the school overall. And as I mentioned earlier, the teachers integrate it into their lessons, and then the media coordinator does as well, supporting those teachers and the students. And then the last one as a strength is the data analysis. The two academic facilitators there are phenomenal. They work through all the data through K6, pulling it, looking at it with the teachers through MTSS, with administrators, moving kids in different groups, and working through that whole entire process. So making those informed decisions about student learning. And then 3 opportunities for improvement. I looked at this through the lens of, because it is measuring a principal's lead role in the standard two. So her instructional leadership as far as using new programs or demonstrating those programs in faculty meetings or at PTO events or other events that are throughout the school year, and or highlighting programs that other teachers are using within the building. There's not much of that. If there was more of that, I think that would help improve the school as well on her part. This is her second year there, so I've been in my current position since she's taken over at this school. So this is just my outside view on that. And then the second one is PD. We do get PD pushed out through the district IT department. And she does forward some things to the staff that I know, but encouraging teachers to participate in PD. I know Colleen and Heidi are the PD gurus in their county and across the state and the country as far as presenting. So, sending the teachers there to NC Ties or having those teachers share what they use in their classrooms with other teachers too. So promoting that within the building. And then the last one is the digital content management. A lot of the digital tools that we use are again pushed out through the county just because they can monitor those. But if the school system, or not the school system, if the school individually can have more say in that, I think that would help too, because each school is different. The needs of the students are different across our 28 schools that we have in our district. So having more of a say at the school level, I think, and there is a digital learning progress rubric on there. I'm not familiar with it, but I don't know if Colleen or Heidi, if you have any input on that later on, as far as that is a good tool to use or not. But yes, Colleen's giving a thumbs up. So a rating 4 out of 5. I think the strengths that I mentioned are really what overall is for the school is the positives. Of course, as everyone said throughout the weeks, there's always room to grow. So, looking at it through the principal's lens of what they can do, or the administrator's lens of what both of the principal and AP could do to help strengthen the content and instruction, digital content and instruction in the classrooms. Some of these pieces that are on here, the picture on the right is one of the pictures from the data analysis meeting. That was through an MTSS when we did our APSO. The one on the far left is that analytics from the Parent Square portal. That was just through March, from June of last year through March. I think it's close to 62,000 interactions, posts, whether it's posts, direct messages from parents, teachers, etc., from the school throughout that. And that was done through that was pulled when we were doing our skip. And then your board policy that is updated, they just updated recently, and then some student work samples from the computer teacher that has those working on those digital citizenship portions of that. So that is Balls Creek in their content and instruction. We're going to move to Michelle's Madison Middle School.
All right, I am at Madison Middle School. I am currently serving as the assistant principal there under a provisional license. I'm fixing to go into my second year as assistant principal. But I taught at Madison Middle for 11 years before moving to an elementary school for 2 years. And then I am glad to be back home with my Patriot family there at the middle school. So just our vision at Madison Middle is helping students expand their potential and equip them with the mindset to become future leaders. And our mission is to promote and provide an equal and equitable education for all students to create a more empowered community. And the principal and I, along with the work of our school improvement team, we changed like our little slogan there at the bottom to strong roots, build bright futures, because we are really trying to make more of a community focus within our school and increase our community involvement. And so our students' roots start at home, and then they build those roots at school, just with learning the basics, learning their content, and then hopefully we'll build a bright future ahead. So what does the digital content and instruction look like at Madison Middle School? So with our communication and collaboration, we will be implementing Infinite Campus this year. And so we have our Infinite Campus parent portal that we will utilize. Some of our teachers and grade levels, it's kind of a mix. We have some teachers who use Google Classroom for their learning management system, and other teachers who access and use Canvas for their learning management system. A lot of our 8th grade teachers use the Canvas component just to try to prepare students for high school, because our high school really focuses on Canvas. As a school, we have shared Google Drives with staff, and so I set that up this year where all of our documents that teachers need to access. So it can even be documents for like field trip permission slips, field trip field trip requests that have to go to central office, prior approvals, things like that. All that is placed in a shared drive for teachers to access. We also this past year started a Google Calendar, so all the teachers and faculty and staff in the building have access to that Google Calendar. It's shared, so we keep a post of all events, all happenings, meetings, whatever goes in that Google Calendar. And we've even got it where grade levels kind of add their components to it, to where only their grade levels seeing specific things. And then, of course, we have our school Facebook page and our school website. And then as far as digital citizenship goes, we are a one-to-one school. That started through the Golden Leaf Foundation several years ago before COVID. We became a one-to-one school with Chromebooks, and then we've been able to sustain those till now. But given budget cuts, we're kind of in a little bit of a pickle on figuring out how we are going to sustain that for the future. But so that's one piece as far as the digital citizenship goes. And then we also offer a media class to all of our students. It's part of their elective rotation. So the way our electives work is that you have PE, you split PE and health, or PE and media. So you get a media class for an entire semester. And so in that class, they are learning the ins and outs of like Google Docs, Microsoft Word. They're also learning how to create a slideshow, how to utilize a spreadsheet. They learn how to correctly search for things within the internet, and that you don't always type a question in the address bar, that you actually go to like a search engine and do that. So that's some of the things that they cover in the media class. For professional development and resources, this year we are beginning AI training through the North Carolina NC State Science House. And then we also have EdCloud and then Canvas courses that our teachers can access as well. And then we've also just recently been completing a lot of professional development in Infinite Campus and completing those trainings as we prepare to roll that out in August. And then our data analysis pieces, we do have EVOS, and we utilize NC check-in data, the data from the EOGs. Our school used to have iReady, and we would use those iReady diagnostics, but this coming year we are moving from iReady to IXL. We had several teachers in a survey we kind of put out there, which would they prefer, iReady, IXL. They kind of did their research on both of those. And so moving forward, we determined IXL is more standards based, and meets the needs of our teachers and our students. If we think about the strengths at Madison Middle School when it comes to content and instruction, and again, looking at it through that principles lens, our school does a good job at collaboration, and so we have like a technology guru on each grade level and within each team. So like sixth, seventh, and eighth grade each have a tech guru. They each grade level has we're calling it an Infinite Campus champion. So those people on the grade level are completing the training for Infinite Campus. They'll be the go-to person on the grade level on the hall if there's any questions about Infinite Campus or utilizing Infinite Campus. And same thing with just any technology piece. We have, and same thing with our elective teams. We have an assigned person who's a guru, so to speak, there. Like I said, we use our Google Calendar as far as sharing events. That way, everyone has that added into their Google, like part of their Google account, and then they get notifications. And so I even have it set up like right now where we've got some professional development coming up during our first teacher work days, and I literally have it set to where they get notifications like 2 weeks out and a week out and like so many days before through that Google Calendar. And then of course we have, like I said, the shared drives. Professional development, I think we are strong in, like admin is aware of the needs of the staff as far as the staff being comfortable with the use of the Chromebooks, staff being comfortable with the student learning, like the learning management systems. And then, of course, staff has really put out there that they would like to learn more about AI and then even how to access content related material. And so I feel like our school admin team and our leadership team is very aware of those things, and they are advocating for the teachers on that part. Our school offers a lot of resources. Like I said, we have both learning management systems that we access, so like Google Classroom and Canvas. We also have iExcel, which we are fixing to roll out this coming school year. We did have iReady previously. We also have Actively Learn that our students access and use in their ELA and social studies classes, Brain Pop, Ed Puzzle. Those are just a few to name. We also have lots of our ELA and social studies and science teachers utilize Scholastic through digital content. And then I think that's about it. Yeah, but it's pretty impressive the resources that we do offer staff and students to use in the classroom. If we think about opportunities for improvement and just areas for growth, I really think, again, looking through that the principles lens of this, digital citizenship, I feel like we could do more. So like I said, media used to be offered for just a semester. Now, the way we've got it set up, it will be offered pretty much for the whole year. So they'll get that for a year versus a semester. That allows our media teacher to go more in depth with some of their lessons, also maybe to focus more on the digital citizenship component from all avenues, especially social media. Working at the middle school level, we deal with a lot of social media issues. And regardless if those happen at home or at school, unfortunately, it falls back on us that we have to do the educating on appropriate social media use. And so just that whole digital citizenship component, I think, is a big area we can improve in. Our learning management systems, like I stated before, it's kind of all over the place. So some of our teachers use Google Classroom and some of our teachers use Canvas. I think as a school leader or as the administrator, I think it would be best to come to a consensus for the whole school that all teachers are using the same platform. That would eliminate student confusion. It eliminates parent confusion. It just makes it, even across the board. I know I dealt with a lot of parents calling in asking questions. their student would be using Canvas in one class and Google Classroom in the other class in a different class. And so it was hard at times to answer those questions that they had because in trying to explain to the parent how the student could utilize those platforms at home. So just kind of like I said, making that even across the board for all students. And I think that could be a decision made at the administrative level. And then data analysis. We do a fairly good job with our MTSS meetings, and we do have like a digital data wall that we utilize. Um, there's a lot in that digital data wall. So I do think we can make that more user friendly. And then just EVOS overall, like my principal, he does well with other components, but he has like no idea on EVOS evaluations and things like that. And so I just think as a leadership team, we could gain a better understanding of EVOS and the school data from that component. So I do feel like Madison Middle School before COVID, we were kind of headed in a really good direction with digital learning and content. We've had a lot of change in school administration since then. And so I do think we are at a place where I feel like our rating would be a 3 out of 5. We have a lot that we could do better. And then there are things that we're doing well, but there's a lot of places that we could do better at. So I do feel like our teachers are in need of more professional development around digital content. Utilizing different platforms, and then like consistency could happen across the school with those learning management systems. Um, I know our school board has our policy 3220, which is with an alliance of the North Carolina Digital Learning Plan. The board is committed to establishing and supporting effective digital teaching and learning practices supported by contemporary information and communication systems to foster globally competitive students um, and prepare them for modern life. And so I think we could do a better job at preparing our students for the digital world that we live in. And then, like I said, AI, we are bringing that focus into place. We have a grant where we are utilizing the Science House on AI. Um, I know our board, the school board, has put a policy, is in the works of putting a policy in place with AI use in the school as well. So as we wrap up, just so North Carolina does offer a lot of professional development opportunities. So through the Department of Public Instruction, there's the Division of Digital Teaching and Learning, and so NC Bold is one of the professional development opportunities, and so NC Bold is offered. Across 6 different regions throughout the state, and it focuses on student information systems, AI, NESIS, SchoolNet, Canvas, EdTech tools, and more. And so their mission is that the Office of Digital Teaching and Learning will empower public school units through collaboration, support, innovation, and problem solving to enhance the learning opportunities with instructional technology for the North Carolina pre-K through 13 community. And so, like I said, NC Bold, they offer professional development opportunities. I know starting next week, they will be at Pisgah High School on the 15th, and then I think they work their way. So that's in the mountains, and they're working their way across the state through 6 different regions, offering professional development. And this year, I think their focus is the Infinite Campus and AI. So in conclusion, so school administrators are looked at to be the instructional leaders of the school. And today, like we all know, we are living in an ever-changing digital world. So school leaders and school administrators, we have to become digital leaders as well, especially for our school. So we need to be able to model for staff the use of technology pieces within our school. As Joe spoke about earlier, in a staff meeting, As a principal, you can model the use of a particular program in the school just to, to put that out there more to teachers and make them feel more comfortable with the use of it. School leaders also need to lead their school and staff into the learning and professional development necessary to incorporate technology into their classroom while also promoting digital citizenship among students. Just personal account, I know just in that modeling piece, I think uh, as a school admin, you have to be willing to continue to learn along with your staff. And so you just cannot become comfortable with where you're at. And like I said before, we're in a ever-changing digital world. So the one constant in education is that it's always changing. And so as an admin, you have to be willing to learn those changes and model them for your staff. And that's one of the big key components of the digital competency standard too.
Any questions? I did find out during that Colleen is the NC Bold ambassador, and Tony's wife is the one that leads it. So if you have questions about that or want to attend those trainings, reach out to them.
And again, both of you, again, very, very informative. Great job, both teams. One of the things I want to leave all of you with is, on my part, is that as you're, and again, Michelle, you're already practicing it, and some of the others are, Tony in a different capacity, Colleen, Heidi in different capacity, all of you. But if you're still in the classroom and you're moving into administration, again, I want to emphasize you see the responsibility of your role as a principal. It's not just having a set of keys and opening the door. And there is a lot, Dr. Revis, that comes with being a school administrator. And y'all have done a great job helping us understand, our roles as it relates to technology and how it all, technology is not going to go away. It's where we are, and is ever, as they said, ever changing. So we've got to be ready for those challenges and changes. And Tony, I'm going to call you tomorrow if I can. I have an academy. We were in Infinite Campus the last year. We were in the stages of that. Both of my people that were in that have left me. I have a new principal at the school, so I've got some challenges. I just need to pick your brain and know what I can do as far as getting them some training and moving forward. So I'll call you tomorrow if that's okay.
That'll be fine. I'm helping my former boss move tomorrow, so call me before noon.
Well, if I don't do it tomorrow, are you going to be there Friday?
We were off Friday.
Okay, I'll communicate with you though. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll just communicate with you.
Yeah, but
okay.
yeah, I know I'll be around until about noon tomorrow,
Okay.
and then helping him move.
I'll probably get you early in the morning. But anyway, Dr. Revis, any comments in closing?
No, I do not. I really thank you guys for your preparation and your attention to these two standards. And, every time we change information management systems, infinite canvas, I mean, there is a lot of professional development that has to go into this. So, as you're working in the schools, of course, some of you may even be doing some of the teaching in the schools with this, but just understand, just try to remember, it's a lot for teachers. It's a lot. So just be patient.
I agree. And I look forward to your three teams finishing it all out next week, Dr. Revis. I'm excited about. I've learned a lot from these presentations, the things that all of you have shared. And again, anything with technology is a learning curve for me. So, I just soak it in, as much as I can. So, but anyway, any questions from anybody in closing? Everybody knows what your responsibilities are for the rest of this week. Any questions? Okay. Dr. Revis, we will, I guess we'll see you next Wednesday.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Dr. Revis, I'm sorry that I got on a little late. My internet was not great and I've been on my phone, so I apologize, but I am here and I was here most of the class. All right, thank you. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it, Lauren.
You're welcome. And I did the turn it in like you asked me to. So we're all
Perfect.
set. And I got graded. So I got a 4. We're good to go.
Oh, awesome. That's great, Lauren. Thank
Congratulations, Lauren.
you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Night.